Hello and welcome to this video on what's new in customer service for 2023 in Wave 2. Um, in a nutshell, what Microsoft is heavily investing in Copilot and AI, but also in digital contact center, your telephony system basically. And what's new in Copilot? Now you have the possibility on a case level to have Copilot summarize the case for you, just like this. So here, when I look at the screen, I see customer Diana Plank reached out on April 1st, 2023, via live chat about an issue with their coffee machine, and they tried turning it on and off. So basically, it summarizes the conversations that you have had, but also what the problem of the case is and the title. And on a similar line, what we also have is that the same feature is also available for conversations because it's omni-channel. So it's not just email, it's not just phone calls, but it's also any chat that you have. So that's why the Copilot is also relevant for any conversations that you have from an omni-channel perspective. And what we also have as an option from Copilot is that now Copilot gives end users or your customer service agents the possibility to auto draft emails based on the content of the email and the conversations you have had with the customer. That kind of saves a lot of time for your agents in typing out these emails, and the system actually does it for you. So I find that pretty cool as a feature. These are the screenshots on how actually it would look like. So this email has been drafted by Copilot, and these chat conversations have also been drafted as a response towards the customer by the Copilot. What we also have besides these features is the ability for you as a customer service manager to measure the usage of Copilots. So the metrics that you see on your left side are the ones that are coming in your analytics on a Copilot section for you to be able to measure how much of that Copilot feature has been used by your agents. So the metrics and their definition is on your right side. So what you see is that it tells you how many active users are there who are actually using Copilot features, and how many of those responses sent by Copilots have also been used to send as a response to the customers by your agents. And then what we also have is basically the feedback of your agents on how they find Copilot and how they find the responses drafted by Copilot. Did they find it valuable, or did they not find valuable? Thumbs up or thumbs down. That's also an option that you have. And that's what comes back also in this dashboard for you to be able to measure how we're doing in terms of Copilot capabilities, their usage, and their appropriateness as a customer service manager. So I find that also kind of cool that we are not only getting features to use them, but also how much it's being adopted within your organization. And then what we also have as an option is that the Copilot is now able to read your knowledge content. So let's say if within your customer service, you have a lot of knowledge articles on how to basically assist your agents to solve issues. Copilot can actually go through your knowledge article. Copilot can go through the conversations or cases that you have, read the context, and see if it can find any knowledge article that can help your agent finding valuable information to be able to support them on how to solve it. So that's why you see also on your left side the screenshot. The question from the customer is, how do I fix auto frother on Barista 1400? And Copilot goes through your knowledge articles, finds a relevant knowledge article, or it could also go through a couple of third-party websites that you have fed back in the system for the Copilot to use. And then using all that information, it comes up with a suggestion on what you can do to be able to fix your auto frother. I find this also kind of very cool. It kind of really improves the productivity of the agents. That was more on Copilot and AI. What we also have is a lot of investment we see from Microsoft on the digital contact center. And by that, what I mean is this is a whole new control that we are getting for voice as a channel. So on your left side, what you see is a screenshot on how they have changed the look and feel of the call conversation control. Earlier, you only had icons, and next to these icons below them, you also see that a description has come up. And what we also have is that the transfer and consult button. So if you want to have the call with the customer transfer to one of your colleagues, or also you want to consult one of your colleagues, that option of consult and transfer, it's not very clear, the screenshot. Um, but this is what we have in the notes. But you see that next to the name of the customer, you also see that the transfer and consult options are available right over there. which is kind of handy. So the conversation control also got an improvement. And what we also have is that, and this is also a major improvement. The dialer pad earlier was very limited in its capability. It was also a little bit buggy, but now what you see on your right side is that you have a sort of a recent call list as well. So if you want to dial someone again, you could just click on it and dial it. Also, the dial pad is coming up with a new improvement, is that it auto takes the country code. So the chances of users making mistake on typing the phone number because the phone number is not correct is taken away. Or you could just select a country with, and if you don't know the code, then the Microsoft autofills it for you. I find all of that this also kind of cool. You see, the conversation control has taken so much of changes in terms of UI, and it's become a lot more intuitive, a lot more next gen, which it was not earlier. So that's also very nice improvements on digital contact center. And this is also a very, very valuable feature. Earlier, it was a very annoying setup that when you have to transfer a phone call that you're having with the customer to one of your colleagues via Teams who is not using Dynamics to be able to consult with them, you always had to set up their business phone in Azure for that user. Without that, the transfer of Teams would not work. Microsoft is saying in this release that is no longer a prerequisite, which saves a lot of hassle for you to configure these numbers. That is also very handy to have in the system and saves a lot of trouble of all this setup. Then what you can also do is that Teams collaboration. So in your model driven app in customer service workspace, you can have a Teams embedded chat always enabled for the agents, so they don't need to navigate away to Teams client to be able to have a conversation with your colleagues. Teams chat now is enabled out of the box, so you don't need to have a global administrator to enable it, because it is always a hassle have finding a global administrator and making a request to enable it, because global administrator is not a privilege that normally you would get as a system administrator or as a functional consultant or as a developer. So that saves you a lot of hassle around enabling Teams, and it's just enabled there by default. That's also a very nice addition. And then also, what a new feature is that now you can route calls based on who is least active in your agent. So someone who has not had a lot of conversations with the customer, the system is capable of finding out the least active agent and start routing these calls. So thereby making your contact center a lot more productive than what it is right now. And then they came up also with handling big waiting times for your digital contact center. So imagine that you are a contact center and you have 10 or 20 customers waiting in the queue. You can set up logics on your work stream to configure it in a way that if, let's say, the wait time in the queue for the customer exceeds 5 minutes, then what you can give them as an option is these following options. You can ask your customer that they will be called back by their agents automatically. They will retain the position of the queue. So if I am in a queue and if I've called a customer service and I was 10th in the line, I would be given the option that, hey, by the way, it's more than 5 minutes of wait. So would you have the option that one of us, our agents, call you back? And the beauty is that you would retain that 10th position in the queue. And the system automatically calls the agent and then connects the customer to be able to have that. That's also pretty cool. But you can also have other things like ask your customers to leave a voicemail and then they would be called back, or they can be transferred to an external number or to a completely different queue, which is less busy. And then what we also have for live chats and voice calls is that chats and voice calls are now all part of the inbox. So inbox is, imagine something like what you have for your Outlook, all your emails, all your channels, all your incoming conversations and chats, they will all be available in your inbox. So it's a very nice way for you to have all the channels and incoming traffic aggregated at one place in your inbox, where you'll also have the visibility to see what has been read, what has not been read, what has been answered, what has not been answered. So it's also quite handy for the agents to be able to have that uniform view for all the channels, which was earlier only for emails and cases. And then we have some miscellaneous improvements that they are doing. They're also going to personalize this experience of conversation control. So when you're having a conversation as an agent, you are able to also make the size of the control bigger or smaller depending on how you find it comfortable. You can also search subjects a lot more easier. That's what I understood. Unfortunately, there are no screenshots available for me to share to you guys on these features. Only the high level. Um, what we also have is some improvements on the telemetry. So for your voice channel, when you're having a call, you can basically diagnose these calls using this telemetry. I don't know how extensive it is, so we still have to wait for the feature to actually appear and for me to experience that. There are also other options of having an auth 2.0 support to be able to check the availability of your agents, if they're available or not, to be able to support live chat. You have more extensive options on caller ID on voice calls. Again, so this basically tells you how much of an investment is happening on the digital contact center for Microsoft. And then you have VDI support on Azure Virtual Desktop for omnichannel voice. And then finally, there are also some extended features on calling emergency numbers to Canada. So these were all the features I wanted to talk to you about for release wave 2 for customer service in 2023. I hope it was helpful. I hope it was informative for you. If you have any questions or any comments, please feel free to put them on the video. And happy learning.